Hey neighbor, didn't see you there. Just practicing for the Hunger Games. Alright, today we're going to be making tacos because it's Tuesday. And I have a pretty unique approach to tacos. I like my tacos to taste like homemade Taco Bell, basically. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do it today. So what you're going to need first, of course, ground beef, 2 pounds. Taco shells. I like the Nacho Ortega taco shells, or sorry, Old El Paso. They have the wide bottom, so you can fill more stuff without it cracking, and of course it tastes like Doritos, so that's awesome. Sour cream, taco seasoning. I made my own. I'll show you how to do that later. 2 avocados, 3 tomatoes, El Pato tomato sauce, really important. That's going to cook with the meat. Taco sauce, it's taco sauce, not hot sauce. There is a big difference. If you've ever had a really good gas station burrito with taco sauce, that's what it tastes like. Cheese, make sure it's not grated cheese already because grated cheese comes with what's known as cellulose, which is basically tree bark. It's not going to kill you or anything, but if you're buying a pound of grated cheese, there's a good percentage of that that's going to be cellulose, so you're actually not getting the calories you're paying for. A can of olives, and most importantly for this is a food processor. This is how we're going to take the ground beef and make it into more of a fast food type of ground beef. So, let's get started. Alrighty, well, first things first, turn your pan on to about medium. Let's hope I get it on the first try this time. Nice. Okay, so 2 pounds of ground beef. I like to use 93.7 ground beef. Not that I'm really afraid of fat or anything, but if I want a pound of meat and it's 20% fat, I'm not really getting a pound of meat, am I? So, 2 pounds of beef. Get this, you can't really see that. It's El Pato tomato sauce, Mexican hot style. So, I'm going to put that in with the beef while it's cooking. And I'm going to add 1/2 cup of water. I don't want this meat getting dry while it's cooking at all. I like it really juicy because I like food lube. So put that together, stir it up a little bit. I like to cover it while I cook it as well because I want the meat to take in as much moisture as it can. So break it up, stir it up, and then put a lid on it. And then we'll start the other ingredients. Okay, well, it's a good thing that meat's going to take a little while to cook because there's a lot of minutia to take care of for the other ingredients. So first, I'm going to start with a can of olives. So I'm going to cut these the really lazy way. This is the way we cut them when I was little to minimize the work I had to do. So I'm probably going to get a little bit of side-eye from the internet for this, but it's a really easy way to cut them without having to use extra dishes. Let's get your favorite knife that you don't mind scratching up a little bit and just run the knife through the olives. You can also buy cans of chopped or diced olives, but they have about I'd say about half an ounce less of actual olives even after water weight is taken out. So this way you'll get a little more olive for your buck. They're about the same price. So let's cut these up. They should be nice and diced in about 70 seconds of cutting. Okay, olives are diced. Now it's time for the cheese. This is sharp cheddar cheese. You can use whatever kind you like, but I like this kind. This is from Costco. Just comes in a big block, which is good for me. So I like to grate on the small grates. I find that the cheese melts faster and it resembles fast food tacos a little bit more. So just make yourself a large pile of finely grated cheddar cheese. I grate on a paper towel because it's one less dish to clean up when I'm done. Doesn't really make a mess as long as you just keep the grater on the towel itself. Okay, well, as you can see, the cheese is grated, and if you did it right, it should be pretty fluffy compared to the thicker grate style. So I like it a bit fluffy. It's going to melt faster. I'm not a huge fan of unmelted cheese, so I'm going to set that aside. I've been doing this same recipe for like a year now, and if you do it right, all the ingredients should be done at about the same time the meat is done. So once you finish your cheese, turn on your oven to 325. Preheat it for those taco shells. Next up, we're going to make the guacamole. So if you want to know if your avocado is ripe, besides squeezing it, if you pull up the little thing at the top and it's green on the inside and not black at all, it means it's pretty good and ripe. These aren't quite perfectly ripe yet, so they're going to be a little bit tough, but I can still use them. All right, once you got your bowl, cut your avocado into little slices inside the shell and then squeeze it into the bowl itself. I do this because it just makes it easier to mash it up once it's in the bowl and to get it out of the shell. All right, slight hiccup with the avocados. They weren't as ripe as I thought. Should have taken my own advice. Don't leave them in the fridge next time. So this is guacamole seasoning mix. If I was going to eat chips and guacamole, I would put in my own tomatoes and onions, but if it's going to be in tacos that already have tomatoes and onions in it, I'm not going to add that in as well. So you can find this in those huge seasoning aisles at the store. These are also stashed by the avocados themselves. So I'm going to just put a bit of that in. I'm going to put in half a package because I only got half the avocado I was supposed to have. Now for these, I like to use a potato masher, not a spoon or a fork. Just gets the job done a lot quicker. And the nice stuff about this powder is it keeps it from browning as well. A bit of a taco night game changer ingredient. So mash that up, and when you're done, set it aside. Okay, this next part is very simple. Just take your tomatoes, cut them into whatever size pieces you want. I like little square pieces. I'm going to cut out the stem. Get your mother's permission to use a knife. Okay, so I just cut right down the middle, flip them over. Okay, so I just cut mine in half, flip them over, make 3 cuts. And then I make 3 more cuts. Not the best knife for the job, but I don't want to wash a bunch of dishes today. All right, sweet. The meat is done. The fat is drained. I drain my fat because I don't want my tacos to be greasier than they already are. You don't have to drain it if you want. I know some people get pretty butthurt about that, but my taco, my recipe. So this is the most important part of my tacos. So normally I used to make them, just leave the ground beef how it is. The chunks are pretty big. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that because when you put the seasoning on these big chunks, most of the meat is not seasoned, just the outside. So I'm going to put it in a food processor, process it up, and it's going to come out really finely ground, real fluffy, kind of like the cheese. I'll show a little close-up comparison in a little bit. So get a food processor or a blender, put the meat in it. Sounds really weird, but I've yet to have anyone try these and think, wow, I regret eating that. Doesn't take too much, just a couple of seconds. It's already cooked, so it should process pretty nicely. Get on. Okay, here's a little close-up of it. On the right is what the meat normally looks like. You see these big chunks. I don't like that because if I put taco seasoning in, most of the meat is not going to be seasoned, so it's not going to taste as taco-y as I want it. So on the left here, you can see that it's real fluffy. The pieces are minuscule in nature, and that's going to give it a lot more fluffy texture. You don't really think of meat as being fluffy, but it's going to be fluffy. It's going to allow more of the taco seasoning to coat it, so it's going to absorb a lot more of it. And it's going to spread more evenly on your taco because we're going for maximum filling on these. So I'm going to process up the rest of this and continue. All right, that's all processed up. You can see just in the same pan, to save yourself a little trouble when you're processing it, if you need to do multiple batches, just put it back in the same pan, scoop the old lame meat to the side, make room for this nice processed meat. So this is in the pan. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my homemade taco seasoning per pound of beef. So that would be 4 tablespoons because we made 2 pounds of beef. Math. I'm also going to add 1 1/2 cups of water, so 3/4 cups of water per pound of ground beef. There's some salt in this, so it's going to help it absorb some of it and not get too dry. I like to put the seasoning on the meat after I process it, again, because I want the taco seasoning to cook into the meat once it's broken up into really small pieces so it all gets coated. So I'm going to leave this on the stove for about 15 more minutes. I'm going to put my taco shells in the oven, and then we'll get to eating. Okay, shells are warm, meat is done. First things first, I put my cheese on the bottom of the shell. I like to tell myself that it helps the shell stick together a little bit more so it doesn't crack on the bottom because the cheese is kind of like a glue holding it together. I don't know if that's true, I don't really care because I've already developed the habit. So, cheese first, a pretty good layer of meat on there. You may have noticed I don't really put lettuce in my tacos. It takes up a lot of space. I don't really think it adds a whole lot of flavor, and I need my space on my tacos. So, cheese first, then meat. Then I'll put on a couple tomatoes, pieces of tomato. Then I do my olives. So for this type of plate, square plate's actually pretty nice. You can just line them up like little tin soldiers. So I got that on there. Then I'll put the taco sauce on. It's a really important ingredient. It's another kind of game-changing ingredient for your taco night. It's not like hot sauce. It is taco sauce. There is a difference. You can find it in most stores, ethnic or Hispanic sections. Another thing I don't do anymore is I don't put sour cream and guacamole on my tacos. I don't do that because, as most of you know, when you do that, typically you get a big bite of something, the next bite there's nothing, and by the third bite it's fallen off your plate like a piece of poop. So I will get sour cream, I will put it in a pile. I will get my guacamole, and I will put that in a pile. And then, with these flat shells, when I'm ready to eat it, I can just get a scoop of sour cream and a scoop of guac. Every bite, every time. 60% of the time. Alright, well, we did all the cooking. Now it's time to taste the tacos of our labor. So, like I said, scoop of sour cream, scoop of guacamole, shell holds together, sour cream and guacamole in every bite. Alright, thanks for watching LBEB Kitchen. See you next time.